Louis, let's dive into it, man. You're a no fluff guy. You're a direct to the point guy. So email strategy, copywriting, all that. 99% of people suck at it. One of them right here. So today, in the next 15, 20, 25 minutes, whatever, help people unsuck their email in a way, like go to the basics, like the stuff that people don't think about. You know, I know funnels are big and people are like, how do you move people from this to that? But most people aren't even at the funnel level yet, right? Like, how do you get somebody to make your email worthwhile?
Okay. I mean, this question, we could speak for 4 hours about this. I'll try and keep it as precise as possible. I think the reality is, for most people, if they are emailing once or twice a week, we're good there. But it's how we do it and how we get people onto the email list. So, you know, in terms of, we've got to grow a list first before we can do anything with it. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows that social media, you know, you post your lead magnet, you do that kind of shit, you get people on that way. People, you know, podcasts and things like that. What people don't talk about very often is like list shares. So partnering up with somebody else who's got a big list, or just a normal size list, and cross-promoting each other's lead magnets. We're actually using other people's thank you pages as a way to sell your low-ticket product. So, for example, the best, you know, you don't want a list of anybody, you want a list of buyers. That's what we want. There's a lot, people have got 90,000 followers on their list, and they do, you know, none of them buy. It's irrelevant, they're tire kickers. What we want is a list of buyers. And so a really underrated way of doing that is to use somebody's thank you page. So, for example, if you've got a product and you know that I'm selling, let's just say a $20 product, you've got a $15 product or a $30 product that's kind of linked to what I'm offering. Mm-hmm. I don't have another low ticket offer to sell on the back of that. Take advantage of that. Approach me. I'll take all the money, but you get that buyer on your list and they come really hot because they just bought your product. So, push the lead magnets and all that kind of stuff. Get on the podcast and all that kind of stuff. But also, we collaborate on social media so much. Like, look at us doing lives now. But we just don't do it very often with email lists. Start doing it, because you get the person that comes to your email list from that comes with so much authority, and so you have so much authority in their eyes. They come so hot. So in terms of growing your list, those two ways, start doing those two ways tomorrow. You're going to have a hotter audience. Now, what happens then? Most people don't really have a welcome sequence, or if they do, it does nothing. It's the general, I'm going to tell you about myself, I'm going to do this and this, kind of does nothing. The key elements, and I don't know how deep you want to go with this, but the key elements to a good welcome sequence is to differentiate yourself. So when they first sign up to your welcome sequence, give them what they want, but also show why you're different. Show that you understand what they're going through. Show that you understand all the bullshit that they see, all the gurus talking, all the shit. Differentiate yourself from those. Open loops in that first email of why they should keep opening other emails within your sequence, because otherwise your open rate's going to drop really quickly. As long as you're doing that in the first few emails, and you get them to reply to your first email, so because that'll help with deliverability. Because let's be honest, how many times have you put somebody in a safe sender list? Never. Nobody does it. Nobody puts people in the whitelist.
Right.
So if you can differentiate yourself by calling out what they don't like within your space, if you could open loops within that email to tell them why they should be opening the rest of your emails, and then you can get them to reply, which helps with the email gods, helps with deliverability. First email, happy days. Continue to deliver value, whether that's lead magnets or something else, throughout the rest of the sequence. Segment them early. There's no point sending everybody down the same welcome sequence. If you've got, three different tiered offers, not everybody's going to want the low ticket offer. Some people are just so desperate to go now that they want something more expensive because they want to take action. So don't send everybody down the same welcome sequence. Have a segment email really, really early on, which asks them to click a button to tell you what they are. Because once they've told you what they are, you can then tailor every email they get on the back of that to make it specific to the person who they are. Yeah. Whether that's the difference in products, or whether it's how urgently they want to solve the problem. On the back of that, then there's several things that you can do, but ultimately you want to be pitching a low ticket offer. Mm-hmm. Most people don't even do that.
Yeah. Do you like to pitch that right in the welcome sequence, like right away? So you said first email, be big on differentiation, right? Why I'm different, which I'm a huge proponent of, like why you should choose me, why what I say matters, why it will resonate with you, why we get along, like that kind of thing, right? This is why you signed up. On the back of that, then you'd like to move to some sort of low ticket offer relatively quickly, if it makes sense.
Yeah, and I mean, you can even offer this in the first email. Let's be honest, as soon as they join your email list, they are the hottest. They've just, they're interested in you. You're like the new thing.
Sure.
That's a really good, there's nothing wrong with having something in the PS. Like if you want to, if you're the kind of person who wants to cut through the shit and take action now, click here, get someone a sales call, get someone to something else. You can do that in your first email. Do it in the segment email if you want. You don't need to have I'm a big fan of longer, heavily value-giving welcome sequences, so like 10 emails, etc. It doesn't mean that you can't sell before that. You can definitely sell before that. You can definitely have things in the PS which are there for those people who are ready to take action. But yeah. Yeah,
I think the thing that you said that I just learned this, I don't know, a month ago or something, and I've already seen it. It's already seen it happen. So I have a client, big audience. He gets a lot of email followers, and so we were putting together a new welcome sequence. We had a product attached to it, and the click-through rate to the product was garbage. And we're like, what? And then we started really thinking about oh my God, we're pitching this literally to everybody. We're pitching it, and it's specific to people who are in a relationship, but half of his audience are people who are single. So they're getting the same pitch. Why would they ever click it? So in the first email, we went back and we set up a trigger so that people are self-selecting, what are they looking for? Dating tips, right? And so having that segment, like you said, segment early in the first email helped us then set the sequence up. And so it's much more successful. And it'd probably still be much more successful than it is. But that little move right there. So what you just said is using that. And it's a great, you talk about people replying to you or people clicking links within an email, right? That helps with deliverability. It helps. It looks like it's useful. So having those triggers in there, people are clicking on something, which is self-selection. So that's great for email engagement. And then it's also great for segment to the audience. So I just learned that. If you haven't learned that yet, you just did from Lewis here, segment early. So let's dive into that a little bit more. Let's talk about ways. You talk about replying to you. You talk about having something in the PS. We're talking about segmenting. Let's just say somebody started their email list last month. They got 50 subscribers right now. They just kind of came up with a freebie, opt-in, lead magnet, and if they're I don't have a lot of time, but I need to set up something. What would you say to do in your first email, really specific?
In terms of kind of so if you've not got very much time, if you've not got you definitely have the time to write 10 emails. You can write them one a day if you really need to. So let's kind of address that point straight off the bat. You've definitely got time. You don't have to write all 10 emails or all however many emails straight away. You can do them each day if you really need to. But let's just say, for example, you don't want to do that. You want to write 5 emails. The first, the best way to start making money is to offer something low ticket on the back of that. You can't, if you haven't got much time, you're only gonna send 4 or 5 emails. You've got no chance of selling a really high ticket offer realistically, unless you're going to pass them through more advanced funnels, which have VSLs and all this kind of shit, which that person's not going to do. So that first offer, segment them straight away, or get them to buy into you based on what we've said. Give them okay, so here's the second email. This is what I think is really important for the second email, regardless of whether it's small or a short sequence or a long sequence. Give them something that answers the problem that the first freebie created. So whatever that first freebie creates, whatever that problem that first freebie solves, another problem will come because of that. Have your next lead magnet solve that, because then you're starting to, you're showing that you understand, but you're also, the amount of value that you get by constantly solving problems is much more than doing random shit. That's what most people do. They'll give a lead magnet and then they will kind of just either tell a story about themselves or just kind of give random value. It's kind of irrelevant. Have it focused, have it so it moves from, okay, my lead magnet is all around kind of general email marketing advice, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. The second thing it should be then is around, okay, so now I know that they understand email marketing a little bit better. They need a bigger list. So the problem comes then is, how do I get more people so I can use this skill? So the next thing is we're going to have a lead magnet, a list growth, lead magnet. And if you've got a few more emails to play with, what happens after they've got a bigger list? Well, they need to optimize it so they're actually emailing all those people. So the next thing we offer them, the next value piece that we offer them, is all around how to optimize your back end. Okay, so then what do they need? They probably need, once they've optimized everything, they've grown their list, they need a good welcome email. So the next thing we can give them is a welcome template. So now we've delivered, now, obviously that's if you've got a longer sequence, but make that second email super, super valuable. And then we really don't need to do much. We can, the third email can simply be a story email, which talks about the problem you had and how you solved it. And that solution is the offer, but you don't go and sell the offer in emails. We're just talking about a 5 email sequence here. So that third email, you tell a story about how you struggled with this and how you solved it, and you introduce it. And then tomorrow they're going to find out more about this. That next email is just a pitch email, simple as that. And with a time sensitive bonus to it. And number 5 is that email which basically tells them to hurry the fuck up because they're going to lose the offer. Within that, that's for a 5 email. That's for the ultimate lazy person. For me, I would want 10, and I would want an FAQ email in that. I would want a case study email in that, which demonstrates stuff. You know, I need to prove that they're not bullshitting me, because there's a lot of bullshit out there at the minute. But in terms of a 5 email sequence, you can get away with that. And if you've got a product that's $15 or whatever, that's a really easy buy on the back of that. As soon as they bought that, then you then just keep upselling. That's another problem that people have when they with welcome sequences. They sell something and they just, okay, I've sold them. No, let's wait a week or wait a few days or even do it instantly and keep selling. Like if they just bought that $15 product, let's next sell them the $100 product. And once they've bought that, is there a way we can move them into, I don't know, a $500 or a high ticket offer? But if you've only got 5, if you're lazy and you want to start making money now, if you follow those 5 emails, so for example, give them the lead magnet, differentiate, give them insane value, tell the story, your story and your struggle and how you discovered it, which is your product. Heavy sell in the next email, talking about all the benefits and answer some objections. And that final email, you a bit more heavy selling really, but focusing more on the urgency side of it. And if you are doing a welcome sequence, add some urgency or scarcity. A lot of people say, I don't want to add it because it feels fake. The easy way around that is to think, what kind of people do you want to help? You want to help people who want to take action. You want to encourage people to take action. So if you're going to discount your product, say you've got a $50 product, you're going to discount it to $10 or something, if they sign up within these 24 hours of knowing about it, that's not you creating fake urgency. That's you actually encouraging action. Exactly. Yeah. Because lots of people won't. Most people sit on the fence for the rest of their whole lives.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you bring up something really important. So I want to go back a little bit. First off, from the whole thing you said here, like there's a strategy to understanding what you're trying to accomplish with it, right? So the goal of this email sequence is to what? Most people don't even answer that question. They just go, I got somebody into my email list. Now I have to have a welcome sequence. And so they create a bunch of emails that don't go anywhere. The first one gets opened, right? We know that the welcome email is the most opened email from everybody, right? So it gets underutilized. It doesn't have any target or goal for next steps. Like you said, create a problem, open up a loop, right? It doesn't push anybody there. So the strategy of like even asking, what do I want to accomplish with this email sequence? Like going all the way back, like where am I trying to get people to go to? Do I want them to hire me? Am I selling a product? Am I selling a service? Where is this going to go? And then like, even to the point of that helps you with the nurture phase, because I think I've seen it. A lot of people just over nurture and they call it value, and it's not really value half the time. It's just another email. Yeah. They think that they're nurturing their audience by sending them more emails that don't take them anywhere. But if you were like, let's go for a walk. Some people like to go for a walk to enjoy nature, right? That's cool. I like to do that. And then some people go to a walk to get somewhere. You need to think of like, who's on your email list? Are they there just to enjoy? Like maybe if you're an author and you're a writer and you just have great words and they want to just enjoy your words, that's fantastic. But if you're a product or a service, they probably are not just hanging around to see where this thing goes, right? They're probably saying, do they have a solution to the problem that I have? Yes or no? And if they don't, then I'm going to move on to somebody else who does. Am I wrong on that? That's just me kind of.
You're right. You're totally right. I think that's one of the big things is that when people nurture, they just send shit. They just send random shit that they post on LinkedIn or something like that. They're not they're not focused. They haven't got an end goal. They just send random emails. Like they just think, oh, I've got to email my audience. So you've got to have a plan for your email sequence. Like when you start to nurture people or whatever we want to call it, you've got to have a goal. Do I know that in a month's time, I'm going to be selling this low ticket product? Yeah. Okay. So what do I need to do within that first month, in that month of nurturing, to start planting seeds and to start making them think, we want our emails and all our copy really to make people have these micro change, like these shifts, these little small changes in the way they see the world. And so if I know that I'm going to have X, Y, and Z objections when I start to do a sales sequence, you bet that a month before I start that sales sequence, I'm going to start answering those objections. Is everyone going to read those emails? No, of course not. But if the people who are opening most of my emails are going to be the most likely to buy. And so, if those people are opening the emails and reading them and having these seeds planted, then they're going to be even more likely to buy. Because the easiest time to answer someone's objection is before they have it.
Yeah.
Once they've got it and it's set in, it's an uphill battle. So when people do this nurture email and all this kind of shit, it is generally just, I was nearly said a really horrible expression then, but I'm not going to, they just kind of throw shit at a wall and hope that it sticks. Almost irrelevant. Plan out your emails. Even if it's like a quarter, just go, right, what am I selling within this quarter? I want to push my high ticket offer. Okay, so I need a bit of a run up for that because it's higher ticket. Or we want to do like some sort of lazy launch kind of thing, and it's just going to be a week selling, I don't know, a product that's meant to be $500, you're going to sell it for $297. You don't need a big run up to that, but have it planned, because if this offer's all around subject lines, for example, start talking about how important subject lines are. Because if you don't do that, you're selling yourself short. So yeah, what you say about nurture emails and what most people do, like, it's so right. Most people's emails are irrelevant because they don't ever have an end goal or actually think about the purpose of what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like there's a huge alignment piece here too. So I think generally people think of things in boxes a little bit, like content, email, right? Social platforms, like all these kinds of things are like, this is this thing, this is this thing. But like what you just talked about, if you're going to sell something about subject lines, you need to be talking about subject lines in your email, in your social media content. Like people create associations with things, right? Because they don't see you everywhere. Like I subscribe to a lot of emails. I can't open them all the time. I see their name and that's helpful. I see a subject line that is connected to the thing that I've associated. That's always good. And so maybe I'll open it later. I see some of their content. When everything's aligned, or at least closely, at least close in the same ballpark. Not like one is about like, dog manicuring and one's about sex toys and then one's about whatever. Like, as long as they're in the same ballpark. How
did you go from dog manicures to sex toys? How did you do that?
You know what? If we only knew what was happening inside. But the idea is like, when you think about it strategically, like you just said, and you have a plan, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I want to accomplish. And so these are the things that I need to do that, right? It needs to go out here, here, and here to create associations. Because I think that's what people miss the most. When I do brand and strategy, it's always about that association piece. Do people know what you do? Do people know what you bring to the table? Do people know your difference? And I always say, like, there's two levels to it, right? There's a level like when you and I are sitting in a room together and I go, oh yeah, Lewis is a phenomenal copywriter. He can help with email strategy. He can help with landing pages, like copywriting. This is his thing. He's amazing at it. But then there's another level to branding when you're not in the room and I go, oh, I need an amazing copywriter. Do I think of Lewis? Or who do I think of, right? And so a lot of people are good at in the room. When I'm in the room, they know what I do, right? They can feel it out. But because they don't create enough strong associations, that when they're not in the room, which most of us aren't in the room 99% of the time, they don't think about us. And so like what you're saying there with the strategic part of aligning everything that you talk about for a time period, right? Even like you said, for a month or something, like this is what I want to sell. I think that's a really powerful tip that you can definitely put into use like right now.
Yeah, this is why social and like email work. There's always that kind of endless battle of what's more important, social or email. You hold the data, you've got all the data with email, but then with social, you've got more eyeballs. There's pros and cons for both. But this is why they work together, because let's be honest, if I've seen you're going to launch an offer and I'm kind of interested and it pops up in my social media, I'm definitely more likely to go and check my emails. And if you're answering objections in your stories and things like that, then you can do different things with your emails. You might want to still answer the same objections to kind of double up on it, because you never know what people are going to see. But it gives you endless potential then, because you can start to pair things up. And let's be honest, if you've got a strong social presence and a good email list, most people are going to consume both.
Yeah.
You know, if they're a loyal, like your hottest fans, the people who are most likely to buy are going to be the people who consume everything. Whether it's Instagram, you know, they might not be on every single social platform, but if it's, let's say, Instagram and email, they're probably going to be seeing your stories come up first on Instagram if they're likely to buy from you, because they just engage with your content that much.
Yep.
And then you know, you can double that up with email, and you can start to answer certain objections on one day with email, certain objections on a different, you know, the same objections on social on a different day. But yeah, they pair up so well. If you actively be conscious of what you're about to sell and you compare them together, it is a match made in heaven. It's so good watching people who understand how to run email and social together, and watching them do it is brilliant, because it makes sense as to why they make so much money.
Yeah, absolutely. There's an art form to it.
It is an art form, yeah.
Let's jump into a couple questions. So if you have questions, put them in the question box. Danielle has got one. She said, are you coaching or actually writing copy for people? Lewis? Coaching.
So I teach business owners. I am kind of like the anti-copywriter in a way. I've never used that term, but I might start using it. And I don't.
Good one.
I'm not going to use that because that's so easy to go. But I truly believe that copywriting is not some secret science. It's not some secret art that people can't do. Whether you're good or bad writer, most business owners know about the same amount of theory as average copywriters. It's all over social media. Every single thing it's all over social media. And so I truly believe that so many business owners can outperform average copywriters. And when I say average, I mean, you know, if you're looking to hire someone really good and you're going to pay the cash, then, you know, you want to be looking at paying high. Otherwise, you're getting you're getting an average job, which you could do better yourself. And you'd be better off learning to do it yourself if that's the case, because you don't have to keep paying. You're probably going to get better results. You know your audience better. You know your product better. And it's a skill that constantly develops in the world of the internet, where words are everything. Having this, you know, with social media content and all this kind of stuff, having a skill that compounds on itself all the time is a fantastic thing. So I coach business owners on how to write copy that converts ultimately. I do have an agency where we write copy for other people as well, but that's more of an e-com business. So I think that answers the question. In terms of time, that's a good one. That's a really good one. That is, if you're going to hire because you have no time, then pay big. Or just do it yourself, or find the time to do it, or, you know, wake up an hour early and start to do it. Because if you're going to pay a copywriter, you know, like however much money to write a sales sequence for you, that sales sequence is a big deal. And if it goes tits up, you've spent money for no reason. Whereas if you did it yourself, you've lost some time and you've learned some lessons.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. There's one in here, Sinister Rabbit, which is a great name. Said, what I'm hearing is we need to repeat ourselves and show up everywhere. I wanted to comment on that real quick. Yes, you need to repeat yourself. No, you don't need to show up everywhere. Yes, you need to show up repeating yourself in the places that you are, if they're the right places for your audience and your customer and all that. But I hear this a lot of times when I see so many, like a lot of the clients I work with, a lot of therapists, they're trying to get their name out there. They're trying to build more than just their practice. They have a full client load, right? But they're trying to get on social media. They want to do courses or workshops or media appearances or get book deals or whatever they want to do. So they feel like they got to be everywhere. And so they're on YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, MySpace, you know, Spotify. They're rapping on Spotify. And then they just burn out and they don't ever connect with anybody because they're in too many places and they're not focused on anything. So no, you do not have to be everywhere. But everywhere that you are, yes, you should be repeating yourself, because people, honestly, like, we know about the cognitive bias of the spotlight effect, right? Where we think people are paying attention to us, but they're really not. Like, they really, really aren't. And especially in social media, like, one of the reasons, a strategy that we've been using for a while with clients is like reposting content after 2 months. Why can we? I had a client who had a piece of content hit like 2.5 million or something on Instagram. We reused the exact same piece of content with the same copy, the same hashtags and everything 2 months later, and it did another 1.3 million or something like that. Why is that possible? Because people don't remember. Maybe they vaguely remember, like, oh, I feel like I heard something like this once, right? But it's not like it's not like down in their brain, like, oh my God, he's reusing the same piece of content. So people aren't paying as much attention as we think they are. And so bringing it back up, repeating ourselves, reiterating things, content pillars where you're talking about the same types of things all the time, it creates the associations that will create what I was talking about earlier, when people think about you when they have a problem, not when they see you and they think about your solution. And that's really important. So repeating yourself on the places that you are, yes, you should do it. And
that's so big. People need to be conscious of that more, because I think that the amount of overwhelm and stress people get from social media because they think that every single thing that they need to do is completely brand new. I've suffered that myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a big one. We have a question in the question box. This is going to be for you, Lewis. Would you suggest writing emails and getting them ready before someone even has a list?
I think it's, yeah, I mean, you don't have to, but why not? Because you've been more prepared. Even if you haven't got a list, get those emails done, because then if you decide, oh, I've broken my fingers and I can't work, or I just feel shit and I want to stay in bed all day and I don't want to move or talk to anybody, you don't stop. If you're emailing, I say email as regularly as you can in terms of time. If that's daily, great. There's people will argue against it, but the people who email the most make the most money, as long as they're, can write copy. But if you haven't got an email list now, having emails now means that, okay, so let's take this for example. Let's just say you email once a week, like some people do. If you forget to email, or something comes up where you don't email once, like that week, that's 2 whole weeks that they haven't heard from you in email. People very, very quickly lose interest and move somewhere else. So I would highly, highly recommend doing it. And also, just start the email list. Even if you've got 10 people, send those emails. Write and send really shit emails where no one likes it. People unsubscribe. Because if you're doing it at the beginning when you've got no email list and you've got like 10 or 15 people on there, it's fine. You can make all the mistakes. It's better to do it then than to be doing it when you've got 10,000 emails on you.
And absolutely. And one thing that people forget is the people on the other side of your email, they don't know if you have 1 person on a list or 5 million people on the list. So exactly. If they're the right person for you, send them emails. But to answer your question, like, should you write emails and get them ready before you even have a list? Another thing you could do is you could start to practice getting them ready, and then you could use them for social media content, right? Because it's the same message that you want to deliver. And this is one I'm actually stealing from Lewis Dalton's coaching, is that once you have the framework, once you have the messaging, once you have the pain points, once you have their emotional need state, like all these pieces, whether you put it in an email or in a piece of Instagram content or whatever, it's the same message. So you can practice on your social media audience right now, see if people resonate with it, and then you can kind of fix your copy before you even ever send one. If you have 0 people on your list, that's a great way to start getting people in.
There's that classic expression: the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Create your email list today. Start writing the emails to practice, or just to send them as they're on. Doesn't matter how many people are on there. The people who are on there now, when you've got a small email list and it's shit, if they stick with you, they're going to be likely to buy from you later on.
Yep, absolutely. And so she said, I got 1 person on my list and I never email them. So here's another strategy that I've used. Lewis, you can crap on this in a minute, because I'm sure it's not great. But when I started out, I had 5 people on my list, 10 people on my list, whatever. I sent an email every single week. And then after I got to 200, 300, 500, I just started reusing the ones that I wrote at the beginning. I think you talked about this a little bit, right? Because it was a good email, but only 5 people saw it. So flash forward 6 months, the people who did see it forgot about it, and the people who didn't see it. So now it's a new piece of, it's a new email for me. So that one worked.
That's a really good thing to do. So once you've finished your welcome sequence, if they don't buy and they didn't buy the downsell, then they go into your nurture flow. Always be reusing the best emails. So if I've got an email from 4 months ago that got amazing click-throughs or engagement, of course I'm going to put that really early on. So that welcome sequence isn't just a 10 email welcome sequence. It can become a 40 email welcome sequence with multiple sales sequences in it. And you are cherry picking the best, most engaged emails and sticking them all at the front, and just keep moving. Every email that gets really, really good engagement, stick it to the front, because every person who comes onto your email list will have never seen that email ever again. I mean, never before, sorry.
I love that.
That's a really good way to get, because then it's like you've proven that it works.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you pin a post on Instagram. This post works. You put it to the top so more people see it. It's just, I've never thought about that though in an email sequence. Just take a really well-performing one and put it on for new people. Like that's what.
I know people who have got like 300 emails in a welcome sequence, and within that there's multiple sales sequences, but every time they write a fresh email to everybody who's come out of that welcome sequence, if it does well, right, that's going in, and then they just keep like replacing emails with whatever's getting the best result.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question on that. This is a very specific one, but how do you feel about parallel email sequences? So someone's in their welcome sequence, which is, let's just say, because use the example, let's say it's 40 emails long, and they're getting it, what are they getting? 2 a week or something like that? 3 a week? Are they also part of your regular email? If you're writing regular email sequences, they're also part of that, or do you wait for the completion and then you transfer them over?
Yeah, I would wait, because I just think you've got control of that welcome sequence, and if you know that it's, this is the good thing about email, is you control everybody's experience. You're in control of it, which is a bit different with social. You don't know what you've got control of it with email a bit more. And so I wouldn't be emailing people unless. So what you can do is you could do your welcome email, you do a few nurture emails. Say you've got something new that you want to sell, just pause it. Just pause the welcome sequence, and then that new sales sequence comes in, and then you resume the original welcome sequence. But yeah, I wouldn't run both at the same time, because it can send off all sorts of strange messages.
Yeah.
And ultimately you end up tripping over yourself, and it just becomes a nightmare. So if you want to, I would send everything through the welcome sequence. If you've got a big launch that you want to do, just pause it, or pause it for certain people. So if people have gone, 10 days or 15 days into the sequence, pause it from them. Don't pause it for the person who's just been in there for 1 day, because that's just that.
Yeah, I love that. All right, we got to wrap up here. I got to wrap up here. I got to go treat my mustache a little bit. So I got some.
I'm so embarrassed by mine.
Lewis is gonna go grow his a little bit. If you want to know more about Lewis and you don't already, click on his thing. He's a copywriting coach, email, everything. He's my coach now, so obviously that makes it worth your time to check out. So check him out. If you need help with strategy, hit me up. What I see people doing too much is I call it's the monkey shit fight at a zoo, right? Where they're just throwing stuff and hoping something happens. And honestly, it's just a waste of time, energy, resources. So stop doing that. Put together an actual strategy. Have an idea of what you want to do, and I'm happy to help you with that. If that's your bag, Lewis, you got closing words?
Thank you. I mean, that was good. Create an email list is the final word. Regardless of how far you are with a product, whether you've got a product or not, just create the thing and start emailing. And if you don't have a product, start creating a product to sell through it, or sell other people's products. If you've got nothing to sell yourself, do affiliate marketing and sell other people.
Yeah.
But no, cheers. This was good. I appreciate you, pal.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff, man. Talk to you soon.
Speak soon.